Well, hello and welcome back to Producer Dan. I'm Dan. Thanks very much for stopping by the channel today. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. We're going to pull it into the mix and we're going to talk about embracing imperfection. Yes! No, I'm afraid this isn't imperfection. This is just sloppy. You really didn't think I was going to do the whole video in my pajamas and that awful overhead lighting, did you? So yes, today we're going to talk about embracing imperfection in music. We're going to talk about learning from our fails, happy accidents, making absolute magic from a bunch of imperfect elements, and also chasing perfection and sometimes coming up with something that's lifeless and insincere. But first I want to talk about a song I recently finished which brought this subject to my attention. I was recording two guitar tracks, one acoustic and one electric. And that electric guitar was a little sharp because I had put a capo on it. It differentiated itself from the acoustic. It set itself apart in that way, almost like a chorus effect would do. Just slightly throw the pitch out of tune just a little bit, just to make it stick out a little bit. And that's what imperfections can do. They can present variations. They can set us on a path of evolution, giving us new ideas. Imperfections can add swing, add tension to a beat, interest, anticipation. All of those things come from kind of a more human and imperfect world. Sometimes when things are too rigid, they don't offer any movement or any growth or dynamics or fun, surprise. Imperfection is beauty. Madness is genius. It is better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. Marilyn Monroe. So here's my favorite example of embracing imperfection in music. And this kind of goes back to my childhood a little bit. Back in 1977, a song was released called Disco Inferno by the Tramps. And it was mixed by a man named Tom Moulton. And he's known to be the father of the extended remix, or the 12-inch single, or the breakdown in a song. So he was mixing this song, Disco Inferno, and in the studio was a new assistant who had set up the levels before Tom came in to mix the song. And so Tom sat down and started mixing the song, and he did notice that there wasn't any life to these tracks. He was wondering what was going on. So he started compressing everything and adding bounce and life back into this lifeless mix. And after a few hours, he was finished, and he left the studio, or he left that studio to go to a different part of the studio to mix something else. And then he received a call saying to come back to the studio because the assistant had set the levels wrong and the song needed to be mixed again. So he went back to the studio and they listened to it with the levels set correctly. And so everything that Tom had done was now heavily exaggerated. All of the compression, everything that he had done to this song, but everyone loved it, and that's how they released the song. They just brought down the levels a little bit and left it as is. So this happy accident gave birth to this iconic disco song that everyone knows. That's one of my favorite stories to this day. Have no fear of perfection. You'll never reach it. Salvador Dali. So here's an example of how that can work in the opposite direction. How striving for perfection can sometimes render our mixes lifeless and inauthentic. For example, back in 2009, the band Kiss released their first album in over 11 years. And they were releasing this album with the two new members of the band, Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer. So they wanted to release some new material, and they also wanted to re-record the old Kiss classic songs with the new band members and include those songs on the album. There were 15 of the classic songs re-recorded from start to finish with all of the benefits and ease of today's modern digital recording environment. And those songs came out perfectly, as you can imagine. Everything was edited and polished and tuned and fixed and packaged up nicely and sent out to us. And I ran to the store to get this album. And I couldn't wait to listen to those old classic songs re-recorded, and I did. And I listened to those songs just once, in amazement because of how good they sounded. But when I was finished, I never listened to that album again because they were missing a lot of the joy and life and spontaneity that those old recordings had from the 70s. Back then, you know, there was no auto-tune, there was no copy and paste and correction and stretching notes, and what you heard was basically what you got. You could do some fixing, but it was major work to fix mistakes on tape. To punch in things, it was a lot harder than it is now, obviously. So a lot was missing from those new, fresh recordings. To tell you the truth, I listened to that album once and didn't listen to it ever again. There is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. Leonard Cohen. Another example I'd like to talk about is the opening act for Woodstock. I think this is a perfect example of how just a few imperfect elements can come together and create such an iconic and magical moment. His name is Richie Havens, and he was the first act in Woodstock. It was broad daylight. It was just him on the stage with two other gentlemen, one playing bongos, another one playing guitar, and they had what looked to be just SM58 set up on the stage. So there's two mics in front of him. It was a very simple setup in front of, tens or hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know how many people were there. He gave an amazing performance of the song Freedom that will go down in history. But if you look at the situation, if you look at the sound was not good. The guitar that he used was almost beaten to a pulp because it's something that he uses all the time. It actually had holes in it. His performance was so heartfelt and so electrifying and so in the moment and so appreciated by everyone that was there. A lot of respect for this man who got up in front of all those people and opened Woodstock. A lot of imperfect elements coming together to create this amazing and magical moment. So it just goes to show you, you don't need perfection. You just need to make a human connection. And so speaking of Woodstock, as I was doing some research for this video, I really got inspired by what I saw. Of course, I watched all the clips from Woodstock, and I've watched the movies many times. I really want to do a video of some kind about Woodstock, so look for that coming up. And also, Vicky Andres has sent me tracks to her new song, Crystal Clear, so I will be producing that in the future. I'm doing a video on that. I don't know if it's going to be one video or a series of videos, but given the subject of this video and given my new inspiration for really coloring outside the lines, I'm going to do it with that new song of hers, Crystal Clear. She's given me an idea of what she wants for the song, and but she does give me a lot of creative freedom on these productions as well. So I look forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I'd like to have you on as a new subscriber. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care.